Ian Page. No, I'm not confused about what qualia are at all. You're just not seeing what I'm saying. Okay, you might not also, I don't know if it's probably not clear, just to anybody in general, why uh, I'm starting with the human being. But I'm starting with the human being that has consciousness because we don't know where that resides or how to build that or even, I do deduce that it can be built because we look at the body and the brain, and it looks to me like it was built. It's, and I don't mean by a creator necessarily, but by some process, or it came to exist. Not putting too much particular intonation into the word built. Okay, but it exists, and there it is. It's material. It seems to me when you poke it with a stick, brain surgery and all kinds of brain tests, that, yep, that's the thing that's doing the thinking. It has the consciousness and the idea, and has this ability to perceive qualia. So if you take someone like a blind person that doesn't perceive that qualia, and you want to say someone who's a scientist who just talks about material and measurements and stuff, that which are kinds of qualia, by the way, the perception of a geometric space. There's a feeling associated with that in a sense. But but anyway, it is somewhere in there, this ability to have the quality. And if you are blind, then, well, what if someone builds eyes? As soon as they build eyes, which they're doing, right, there's the ear implants, you can lose the organs. In the case of the eyes, the first thing, they're going to have artificial eyes. Those are going to stimulate quality. Now you could say, oh, but just by touching, they'll hook those eyes up to the optic nerve. Yeah, the brain was ready to receive those qualia because it's built to be able to receive them. And if it's, then you're just going to go deeper and deeper, right? The optic nerve is missing. Oh, you didn't form an optic nerve, some genetic thing. You didn't form an optic nerve. They'll build you one of those. But it probably won't necessarily be an organic optic nerve. It'll be semi-mechanical or whatever we can figure out. But there, at the end back of the optic nerve, if that ever works, it'll hook into the brain somehow. It'll be stimulating neurons still. But then again, maybe we will learn enough biological science to regrow the tissues and to design the cells that way. Maybe that'll be the only way you could hook something to the brain with millions of connections, that's maybe never going to work surgically. The point is, we'll get further and further back. And we'll be introducing more and more of the qualia. And to say that we understand qualia fully is just to understand everything there is about it, is to understand that process all the way to being able to make a brain. And if that'll never be possible, then don't say she understood everything fully, because it's impossible. But if it is possible, then that would be a part of it. She would be able to take a consciousness that exists and produce this qualia and invent a new color. If she understood it fully, she could invent, a fourth color, a fourth primary color, right? If you really understood how it was done, you could do stuff like that. Invent a new color. Give everybody eyes that can see in ultraviolet and make a new color for it, right? If you really understood everything about qualia. And at that point, you should be able to create a brain from materials from organic chemistry that would feel qualia. But that's why I held off on that step, because wait a second, where does this consciousness? Well, we're all biased about where does the consciousness come from, because it's like, doesn't God have to breathe? What about the souls? Do you have a soul? And all of those questions slow us down. And I have answers to some of those questions, but I also have questions that don't rely on the answers to that. Doesn't really matter if we could start a vein from scratch. I don't see why, if we could do all the rest of it, we could start one from scratch, but whatever. It doesn't rely on being able to do that. Because it relies on a person that's, lacking a sense that you can recreate. If you truly understand it, you can recreate any amount of the neural machinery necessary to give somebody that qualia that perhaps they didn't have because of some deficit, and even new qualia, invent new qualia. So the process of evolution is the invention of new qualia, among other things, right? You develop a new sense organ for those that believe in evolution, and it's new qualia that go along with it. And as it evolves, it develops new qualia, new abstract, you know, reprocessed qualia that generate feelings itself, which are all so experienced as qualia. So yeah, does that clarify that? I don't know. Anyway, I find a very interesting subject. You know, definitely we're not disagreeing rather on what qualia is. It's you know, I kind of imagine you probably find it difficult to picture uh, this 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 sort of idea that to understand it, you know, is to know how to reproduce all of those things. And since she is a human mind, this blind scientist or colorblind scientist, if she understands qualia, she'll get to the point of realizing, yeah, but I haven't seen color. So I don't understand everything yet. So what I'll do is I'll use my knowledge of how to restore my color vision, and then I'll see color, and then I really will understand. Of course, I don't believe you could ever understand everything on a subject. I don't think you could ever understand everything about all of this stuff. I just don't think it works that way. But we could still do thought experiments, you know, of what if somebody understood everything? Well, if they understood everything, that would include manipulating the material universe to get this knowledge about what it felt like, you know, what the color red felt like, for lack of a better, you know, description. I think that's a pretty okay description. Anyway, cheers.